Now let's take a deeper look at the resumption of the National Assembly and the task ahead of them. Joining me live from Abuja is the convener, National Political Equity Movement, and the legislative analyst, Mr. Chibuzo Ekirike. Thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening to you as well. Many are already saying that the National Assembly should hit the ground running and get to work, particularly with the amendment bill. What do you think should be the fastest way of correcting the cross-referencing errors that everyone is talking about in good enough time?
Thank you. I think that from tomorrow, we should have the leadership of the National Assembly resolve to, kick off the process of ensuring that the amendment is done, because I don't believe that direct primary should be compulsory for political parties. If you do that, are you also going to make membership of political parties compulsory? So when they resume tomorrow, we expect that the leadership should quickly take legislative action to ensure that the direct issue of direct primary is resolved, and the bill is, a clean copy of the bill is quickly, handled between the both chambers and transmitted to the president for assent. This is very important because, as it said, judiciary is the last hope of the common man, but the legislature is the first hope of the common man. So setting the right legislative agenda and the policy framework to drive electoral process is critical. And you know that elections are the only platform through which the citizens showcase their sovereignty. It's actually not just for purposes of electing leaders, but also for accountability. It's a time that elected officials go back to the people for assessment, and they bring them back or reject them through their vote. So getting the Electoral Act very quickly is very important. And I expect that there should be a supplementary order paper tomorrow that will have that on the agenda of the National Assembly, so
okay,
that we can quickly dispatch with this. Yeah.
Yes, I was just going to say, indeed, it ought to be quickly dispatched with, as everybody has been saying there. But this issue of direct primaries, is it a deal breaker when you look at it? I mean, just in terms of if it isn't expunged, for instance, what happens to the bill?
Well, there are options that it could be there, but it should be, optional. But the president, in his rejection letter, asked the National Assembly, I think in a recent interview otherwise, said that they should include consensus candidate or what have you. We must understand that a piece of legislation does not seek to satisfy personal interest and opinion of people. We must live above board. Yes, this is an election period. There are a lot of activities going on, but we have a country to protect and safeguard. And having a proper electoral piece of legislation is critical to having the kind of leaders, having the voices of the people heard. So the option could be there, but not to make it mandatory, because you cannot legislate morality. It is something that requires education, advocacy, and the people inclusiveness and participation. Because the idea that if you have compulsory direct primary, that you have solved problem of internal democracy is not absolutely correct. And we must look at the future, look at bigger picture beyond the activities of today.
All right, the convener, National Political Equity Movement, and legislative analyst, Mr. Chibuzo Ekirike, thanks a lot for joining us on the News at 10 tonight.